Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I'm here with a new layout and process video for Pinkfresh Studio, and today's layout is part of the August challenge that is up over on the Pinkfresh Studio blog today. And you can play along with us if you want. There is a color scheme that consists of 5 colors that you can find in the Just a Little Lovely collection. And then also the challenge is to use some kind of stitching on your project. And so I'm going to do that today on my layout. And so the color scheme is very soft and pastel. And so I'm going to start with this paper from Just a Little Lovely. And I'm so thankful that I have 2 copies of this paper because I almost did not want to punch into this paper because it is so gorgeous and would make the perfect background. But I do have another copy, so I thought I would save one for a background and then use one for cutting up or punching. So that's what I decided to do today. I was feeling the circle vibe for some reason, and so I pulled out 3 different size circle punches from my stash and just started punching. If you've seen the image for the color scheme for the layout, there's a really pretty soft yellow, a pink, 2 different shades of blue, and then a green or almost like a greenish teal color. And so that's where I'm going. And I'm going to use 3 photos today. These are all from the same little photo shoot of my daughter from several years ago. And I printed them in black and white because I wanted them to really pop against these colors. And then I also wanted the colors to pop against the black and white. So I have everything arranged and I really like the way it looked. So in order for me to remember where all these circles are going to go later, I lightly traced around all of them. And I'm just using some thick, smooth white cardstock as my background. And I am going to add lots of watercolor to it. So I remove all the circles, and then I'm using clear gesso here. And this is just going to prep my cardstock for lots of water or watercolor. And it's going to allow me to let it run and blend and smudge and do all those awesome things before soaking right through the paper. So I have this little paint tray here, and I use it specifically for my Pinkfresh Studio watercolors. And you can see here that it's basically dried from the last time that I used it. And one thing I love about these watercolors is that all I have to do is add a little bit of water and they instantly reactivate. And so, you know, if you have some that have dried, all you have to do is wet it again and they are ready to go. And I don't really need a lot of color for this layout because, like I said, the colors are really soft and almost on the pastel side. And so it just takes a little bit of color and then, you know, water it down. And so I thought that I would kind of do a tone on tone color scheme here and go from the green section then to the blue section and so on and so on. And I'm going to put, you know, the green circles on top of the green section and the blue on top of the blue and so on and so forth. And I really love that effect. So I'm just using a paintbrush, I'm using some plastic packaging, I use my fingers to kind of smudge the paint around. Lots of different ways to get watercolor on your background, and it just depends on the look you're going for. My first choice usually isn't a brush. I don't really want brush strokes when the paint dries. I want it to be more of a splotchy, runny look. So I am using the brush to kind of you know, initially smudge the color around, but then I use the packaging or my finger to kind of smudge it. I like for the edges to be kind of hazy and cloudy looking and not so, you know, harsh. Like if you have a brush stroke, you have actual lines, and I didn't want that look. So now one thing that I kind of messed up on here is, you see where I'm putting the pink paint down, that's where I actually had the yellow circles. And for some reason, I just was thinking pink. So I wind up having to switch around the pink circle area and the yellow circle area because I was just not even thinking. And I went ahead and used pink, and I meant to use yellow there, but it's okay. I make it work. The pink, actually all these colors, they are very, very bold. And so you really don't need a lot if you are going for a soft look. And so I have to really work at the pink here because it's just very bright. And when it dried, it was a little too bright. So I have to do a little extra work on the pink section here. But I think in the end, it works out. So I'm going to blend from the pink section. I'm going to go into the yellow. I did add a dab of orange here again to kind of play with the pink tones until I finally get it like I want it. And then finally the yellow section. And this is kind of a diagonal design. And I like the way it winds up looking. I always think the backgrounds look so almost like a hot mess in the beginning until I start to add everything back on top of it. Okay, so here's where you can kind of see where I start to play around with the pink section a little more. I brought in some white acrylic paint to kind of drip on top of it to maybe soften it up and lighten it up. Add a little bit of red to it to work with it. And again, it's still kind of dark. I don't want it to be too dark. But just keep working with it. I dab a little up, I add a little here, and it's not a perfect science. Sometimes it's hard to get the exact color of something else, but it's just an experiment as you go sometimes. Because you can see I've got several of the well, actually a lot of die cuts and stickers over there to the right. Off camera, I did go through everything and kind of pick out some things that I wanted to use, because again, I want to try to do tone on tone. And so I want to try to keep all the pink embellishments on the pink section and, you know, do that for each color area. So I decided to pull out some gelatos here after all of the paint and the liquid watercolors were dry, just to add in a little bit of shading. And I love gelatos, and I think that these colors work really well with these watercolors. And so I'm just dabbing a little bit of the gelato, or scribbling a little bit of the gelato on the paper, and then dipping my finger in some water and then just smudging it with my finger. And I love the effect of this. Gelatos are perfect for adding in little sections of color like this, and with the gesso on the background, they smudge and blend really easily and quickly. And I find the best way to do that is just with your finger. I know a lot of people don't want to do mixed media because they don't want to get their hands dirty, but it does not bother me one bit. I mean, I've got different colored hands all the time from doing this, and it doesn't bother me. It's fun. I like getting a little messy. So I almost have the background finished finally. I'm going to let that dry and then make sure I have the colors kind of like I want them. And my lighting is very bright, and so the colors are going to look a little bit different here. It's super bright, especially when I use a white background. Everything looks extra bright, but you can kind of get the idea that I'm going for here. Doing my best to kind of keep it tone on tone. Some things overlap onto another color, but that's okay. And I'm going to do 2 photos up at the top and kind of 1 down in the yellow pink section. All right, I let that dry. I did a lot of stitching. I decided to go crazy on my sewing machine here, and I just used white thread because, again, part of our challenge is to use stitching, and I just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over the entire section, which created some really fun, awesome texture, and I love how that turned out. The only thing is now it's kind of hard for me to see where I traced my circles, but that's okay because I wind up kind of putting them in different spots in a couple places anyway. Now I just want a little bit of layering behind my photos here. I'm not going to add any pattern paper or anything like that behind the pictures, and so I like to use tissue paper just to give it a little bit of some kind of border, some kind of little layer behind there to give it some separation behind the photo, in between the photo and the background. And then I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive foam. This is just fun foam from the kids craft section at Walmart. It just pops the photos up a little bit off the page and creates some dimension. And so that's done. Now I'm going to work on putting all those circles back. I can kind of see where I traced them. I just kind of want them underneath the photo, around the photos, and yeah, here's where I had to kind of change things, because again, the yellow section was supposed to be where the pink section is, and so I didn't punch the same amount of each color in each size, I guess, but it's okay, it works out in the end. I just have to kind of change where I'm going to put some embellishments, and then I have to punch a couple more pink and yellow in different sizes. But I love how it just kind of fades from green to blue to pink to yellow. And yeah, these photos, my daughter was in there in my girl's little tree house, you know, and it's wood color, so everything behind her is kind of brown. And then her swimsuit is black and white and pink. And so it was very loud and bright and, you know, just a lot of black and white in the pictures. So I just made the entire pictures black and white, and I felt like that worked a little bit better than trying to scrap those in color. So now I'm going to start embellishing things. I'm going to be using some of the die cuts from Just a Little Lovely, and then some of these wood veneer dimensional stickers. I'm going to use 2 of those. I cut that one big floral black and white die cut in half, because on one half of it there's some green leaves, and on the other half of it there's a little pink floral piece. And so I cut it in half so I could use the green on the green and the pink on the pink. And then I'm going to work with the wood veneer buttons that have the little epoxy sticker in the middle. I am going to pop up all of the circles that are not underneath the photos. And so I'm going to come back in with some adhesive foam and again, just add that behind those and pop those up, glue those down. And I love the shadow effect that dimensional foam can create. It just gives the layout some 3D effects and makes it not as flat. And I love that effect. And all the circles that are underneath or overlapped, they're going to be flat and just glued down straight onto the paper. And I did add some foam underneath the wood veneer stickers just because they're going to overlap the photos, and I wanted those to be the same height as the photos. I am going to work with some more thread, as if I didn't have enough thread in all that stitching. I'm going to add a little bit of each color, some blue foam, blue thread underneath the blue photo area, some pink over here on the pink section. And I didn't have any, I didn't show this because I did it off camera. I didn't have any green thread that matched the green. So I took some thread and I just painted it with the watercolor. And so now you can see the green thread over on the left of the photo on the green section. It was originally white. I just stuck it on my little paint tray in the green paint and dyed it. And so that is a great way to get the exact color of thread that you're looking for. If you don't have it, yeah, just paint it. And there you go. So I'm going to make sure everything is glued down. Another little flower there on top of that piece. And I really wanted to use this piece. This is from the dimensional stickers. Again, I just kind of dismantled it, took it apart, and I'm just going to use the parts of it in different places. Little epoxy stickers. I don't think I wind up using those. Puffy stickers. I think I used this little pink heart. I really like how this turned out. I think it was very, very pretty, and I really love the texture from all that stitching. I just think it adds something fun to the background, and I like it. I wanted something in the blue color, some kind of floral element, and I didn't have one. And so I fussy cut one out from another pattern paper that's got all those black and white florals on it, and I just painted it the color I wanted it. And I'm going to trim around the edges and really cut it out, and then I'm going to use that as a little bit of a floral layer on top of the blue section photo. My title, I'm going to use a die cut from the ephemera pack that says Beautiful, and I popped it up also using the adhesive foam. And then I'm going to create the word day using the white puffy alphas, also from this collection. Very simple title, Beautiful Day. I didn't want to go too crazy or big with the title, so it's just very soft and subtle. And then I'm going to come back in with the same colors that I used on the background and just add in a little bit of splattering in the same color area. Not too crazy. And I debated about whether to do black splatters, but I opted to not. So this one is black splatter free. The last thing I do is use my T-square ruler there to write in some, or to trace some lines for my journaling. And then I use my black fine tip Sharpie. And that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. It's pretty simple, but it's super sweet. And I love that it's got the stitching, it's got the colors from the challenge. So I hope you will go check it out. Here are all the details. You can see all the dimension and all the texture. I love making backgrounds like this. It was so much fun. But the challenge, yeah, you have all month to join in. You can participate with a card or a layout, whatever, and enter. And yeah, it's so much fun. So go check it out. You can see all the different design team members' projects that they made as part of the challenge. And I hope you will join in. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.